I am Dennis Mitchell, and I am the proud founding president of the Alpha Light Fund, Incorporated. I'm also a proud graduate of Cornell University, class of 1984, College of Arts and Sciences. So, let me begin by expressing my deepest gratitude to the leaders that are here, the brothers that are here, the community members that are gathered here. In particular, I want to acknowledge our host, Cornell's own President, Michael Kotlikoff. We are here not simply to celebrate the achievements of the Alpha Light Fund Incorporated, but for something much larger. We're here to celebrate a vision of empowered leadership and active community building. We're here, it's a vision rooted in cultural legacy, in collaboration, and in sustainable impact. This is not just another Alpha event. Beyond that, this is an event that celebrates the best of Ithaca, the best of New York, and the best of our nation. Thank you. In December of 1906, 7 young men gathered on this campus of Cornell University to light a spark. Cornell stood apart from its peers as the first and only Ivy League institution to open its doors to Black students, to Jewish students, and to women students. The audacity. Its founder, Ezra Cornell, had articulated this enduring vision in 1868 when he said, "I would found an institution where any person can find instruction in any study." Many of these young men, and we call them our jewels, our 7 jewels, worked as janitors, as cooks, as waiters in fraternity houses all around this campus. These same fraternity houses would not admit them due to the racial segregation of the era. They scrubbed floors, they cleaned bathrooms, they served meals, but they also watched and listened and learned. From that experience, they created something new. Out of exclusion, they built belonging. Out of invisibility, they built visibility. That spark became Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, the first collegiate Black Greek letter fraternity, and ultimately the genesis of what we now call the Divine Nine, the 9 Black Greek letter fraternity and sororities that we all know so well. It was not only the beginning of a fraternity, it was the beginning of an international movement. So, there's a reason that that spark was lit right here at Cornell University and not anywhere else. And more than a century later, that spark continues to burn. Founded in 2017, the Alpha Light Fund Incorporated was created with the intention of building an appropriate home for the Alpha chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha. After the murder of George Floyd and the ensuing racial reckoning of 2020, the board of directors of the Alpha Light Fund recognized that more than a house was now needed. In 2021, the House of Alpha was acquired right here, next to Cornell's campus. And in 2023, a bold vision was set to raise $20 million, not only to complete this house, but to ensure its program and long-term impact. Its mission is simply, but profound, to develop and uplift Black leaders, to highlight academic excellence, to advocate for under-resourced and underserved communities, and to realize the dream of a more just and equitable society for all. During the pandemic, more than 60 Alpha brothers gathered on Zoom Sunday after Sunday, wrestling with multiple questions, but especially the question of what comes next. It was Robert Smith, my Sands, my fraternity brother, my line brother, my friend, who jumped and said, "Are we ready to do this, brothers?" And from that call came a pledge to create a house worthy of Alpha's now 120-year legacy. He purchased this 105 Westbourne Lane property for $1.6 million, donated it to the Alpha Light Fund Incorporated, and renovated it for another $9 million. Robert alone, beyond an $8 million gift, including loans, is all in at this point for about $11 million in this facility. And just 8 weeks ago, we moved in our first residence, and we are immensely proud of that achievement. This result is not simply a building, it's the House of Alpha Leadership Institute, a space that embodies the vision of our founders, yet updated for the needs of the 21st century. The House of Alpha Leadership Institute is the physical manifestation of the Alpha Light Fund's vision. It is more than a residence. It is a leadership hub, a cultural and tourism destination, and a community anchor. For example, in partnership with New York State's I Love New York Black Travel Initiative, the House of Alpha will serve as a tourism destination that highlights Black culture, Black history, and historic sites such as the Underground Railroad and the Harriet Tubman Freedom Trail. It will create dozens of jobs for the Ithaca community. It has already engaged minority and women-owned businesses in its construction and its design. And it has done so with a commitment to historic preservation and green, sustainable building practices. This is a space built for growth, grounded in intention and open to all. The House of Alpha anchors the Leadership Institute, which is powered by our mission and our 7 pillars.
Well, I have to say, when they asked me to be president of Cornell, they didn't tell me that I'd have to speak between Dennis Mitchell and Robert Smith. This is really unfair. It's a pleasure to be here with so many of you to mark the official opening and dedication of the House of Alpha Leadership Institute. Cornell, as Dennis said, is a university with a foundational commitment to equality and access. Established with the, at the time, radical vision of being an institution where any person could find instruction in any study. Over the years, it's a commitment that's been questioned and tested many times. In 1868, Ezra Cornell received a polite and cautiously worded letter asking, in so many words, whether the university really would accept a Black student. Cornell responded with 2 words, send him. In 1874, Andrew Dixon White was asked a similar question. He replied even more strongly, stating that the university would be very glad to receive anyone who was prepared to enter, even if all of our 500 white students were to ask for dismissal on that account. And they sent similar responses over the years to those asking whether Cornell really would admit women, foreign-born students, Jews, Asian students, or students of other religions. The answers were yes, yes, and yes. But 160 years later, Cornell continues to turn that fundamentally democratic aspiration into a reality every day. It's an aspiration and founding principle of which we are extraordinarily proud. It is our guiding light, something that will always point us in the right direction, even if we still have many miles to go. The reality for our students hasn't always matched our ambitions. and the experiences of our black students at Cornell hasn't always been in line with our ideals. But those founding values continue to guide us and ensure that Cornell remains committed to building a more just and equitable society through the education of the next generation of scholars and leaders. Alpha Phi Alpha's founding at Cornell in 1906 is a critical part of that history, and its legacy is part of our identity today. As the first black Greek organization at Cornell, it provided a home away from home for black students, a place to belong within a larger Cornell community, and a way to help new generations of leaders thrive. And the House of Alpha Leadership Institute continues to carry that legacy forward, bringing our any person commitment to life for new generations of young leaders at Cornell. And in Andrew Dixon White's words, for better things in our beloved country. I'm grateful for the collaboration and collaborative effort between Cornell and our alumni, New York State, the Alpha Light Fund, Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity members, and the many friends who came together to renovate this building and launch the House of Alpha Leadership Institute. I want to particularly thank Dennis Mitchell, my good friend and former provostial colleague, our wonderful and generous alum, Robert Smith, Governor Hochul, who was unable to be here, unfortunately, and our elected officials here, including Anna Kellis, our Assemblywoman, our alumni, donors, and the local Ithaca community for all of their support. And congratulations to the student leaders, to the inaugural residents, and everyone who has been part of this milestone for Alpha Phi Alpha and our Ithaca community. Thank you very much.
So this next part is easy. You know him, Robert Frederick Smith.
Before I get started, I do want to say to my brother Dennis, thank you. Your leadership as our first board chair of the Alpha Light Fund has been spectacular, and I'm so excited you're signing up for another 4 years of leadership. As I understand it, is your principal ambition at this point. In all sincerity, to Dennis and the board and all that you all have done in ushering forward the future of not only Alpha Phi Alpha, but the Alpha Light Fund. This is a wonderful time. It's a wonderful time to be here with you all, with many men who are my brothers, who gave me a welcoming like no other when I came from Denver, Colorado to this town wearing cowboy boots, in need of a haircut, and in need of understanding what the East Coast was all about. And these brothers welcomed me in so many ways to a new reality of opportunity. And that's what Alpha Phi Alpha Alpha chapter is all about. I had a wonderful day yesterday and this morning actually with my daughter walking, and you know, a lot of what she and I talk about are her experiences as now a 24-year-old. My experiences now as a few years older than 24, and how things have changed, how they've stayed the same, and the expression of what is a beloved community. And in the book that I was so graciously asked to collaborate with the King Center on, I talk about the beloved community in which I was born. And it was a place where everybody made a contribution to not just the community, but the children. And whatever contribution they could make, they made. They made it willingly. They made it with love. They gave of the joy of their hearts, the sacrifices of their ancestors, and they drove it into the next generation. And, you know, as a child, you take a lot of that for granted because that just is. That's your reality. And then at some point, some of us have a chance to move to a different community. And we lift out of the place that nurtured us and taught us and embedded a lot of our values and who we are and who we were to become. And you move into a new place. And all of a sudden you are met with a different set of forces from different dimensions through institutions, individuals. And when I came to this campus, and I started to first meet with the young men who were my roommates, my suite mates, I learned something about who we are. I learned something about who we are as a tapestry of our community and how we all had such similar values and goals and ambitions, faced similar constraints of resources, faced similar adversarial dynamics in the communities in which we were born, but also embraced that as a challenge because our individual communities enabled us with strength, with fortitude, and with a responsibility to do more for those that came behind us. And then we had the great fortune, frankly, through my leadership, to get my group of suite mates to become alphas. I was so glad they were young and impressionable. And as I drew them into this world to help them become their best selves, I knew that we were actually entering into something that was bigger than us, founded on principles that we could all get behind. One of the things that I was always so curious about is kind of how interesting how life works as we were gently initiated into this fraternity. For some of these young men to stand behind you who aren't as gentle looking as they look today, was the history, the origin. What was it that attracted these young men to Cornell? A lot of it was the principles on which Cornell was founded. I would found an institution where any person can find study. In 1874, if all of them resigned from this college, then that's fine too. There's some principles there that we all hold dear and enable us to freely express our abilities on this campus and in this place. And our fraternity that was being led by these older young men ensured that we understood a few things about what our responsibility was as young men, as young alphas, as older alphas. And it was a deep responsibility and commitment to community. It was a deep responsibility and a commitment to each other. And it was a deep responsibility and commitment to understand that we are enough to solve the problems that we face, to enable the opportunities that we want to embrace, and to support each other, and to support the communities, and to lead our communities to a place where we can really become our best selves. All of that was what this fraternity meant. And all of that is what this fraternity means. And so I entered into a new beloved community, and it was the community of Alpha. And it was best expressed some days sitting around laughing, some days finding places to study and figure out how we're going to pass this test together. Some days trying to figure out how Louis Tobias was not going to get in trouble for the antics that he was engaged in that day. all of those things built that fabric. All of those things built not only culture, but character. And as many of my fraternity brothers aged at a much higher rate than I realized it was important that we come together and really coalesce on the ideas and dreams of creating some permanency in place, which is what this represents. Because the values are permanent. And I see it every time I meet these young brothers when I come here. It's the same values that we were not only taught, but that we pass forward. This institution works. Alpha Phi Alpha works. We as a brotherhood work. And while we may question the dress codes of these young men, we cannot question their character. We cannot question their ability, their desire, their intellect, their capability. And so it is our job now to steward them forward with resources and capabilities so that they can expand the House of Alpha. So, with that, I want to thank all of my brothers, my Sands, Brother Dennis, 4 more years, the community of Ithaca, President Pollock, who was our great partner, and our current president, Michael Kotlikoff, who is our existing and greatest advocate of who we are on this campus now. Our community leaders, our supporters, all of our spouses, and our families who understand that those late night phone calls on Sunday night, we're talking about fantasy football. We were focusing on something that was bigger than what we were individually. But it underscored some of the principles of Alpha Phi Alpha, being limitless. To know that we together can accomplish great things. This is just one indication of those great things. And I look forward to this next generation using these investments that this current generation is putting in you to change and reshape the world so it fits all that you are capable of, and America becomes the vision of what it should be through your work, through your connections, and let's go be the greatest generation that this planet has ever seen. I want to thank you all for being here, being a part of this wonderful day, and to my brothers, 1906! Thank you.
So I'm going to ask you all to just bear with us. We have a ceremony that's coming up where we're going to actually cut the ribbon of this home, of this dream of ours that some of us at one time may have even thought was a fantasy. And yet, here we are. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
1906!